All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is just continuing to crash here. We are losing some key support levels here, and we are finding some trouble to get back above our 85K range lows. And in yesterday's video, I highlighted how we could keep dropping. Let me head to my other chart real quick. We're on the daily chart here. And if we go on to this daily, I'm going to show you guys this pitchfork in just a second, a new pitchfork I just pulled. But the area of support we were looking to come in was this anchored VWAP from the 50K lows, 49K lows in confluence with our golden pocket. Now, this golden pocket is just from our last big daily low before this explosive impulse here to our all-time highs. And you can see that is where we found support today. We are still holding our support level at our golden pocket and our anchored VWAP here. But the day is about 12 minutes away from closing, and we really needed to close our daily candle above this 85K level in order to see true strength, to see this be a sort of a wick past our range lows into this golden pocket, into this anchored VWAP, and then reclaim this right away and maybe start working our way to the upside. Now, so far, we are holding our anchored VWAP support. You can see on our daily candle here, we are above the anchored VWAP. We are above our golden pocket here, and we are holding it so far. But Bitcoin is not looking so strong here. You can see our money flow. Now, guys, I've covered this time and time again on the videos, how I said this entire range since November 11th, we've seen the money flow coming out the entire time. We've seen bear divs here, bear divs all through here, pushed us down to the bottom of the range. Now we see bear divs between the 108K high and the 109K high. Bear divs here on the daily. Money flow continues to come out. I've been warning about the weekly time frame bear divs that we've been seeing on the chart here. Weekly time frame bear divs on the chart. Higher highs on the price action, higher highs between this price action here, lower highs on the momentum waves, money flow coming out on the weekly chart. I made a video now, I think it was 11 or 12 days ago, and the title of that video is "The Top Near Is a Bigger Correction Coming." And we saw the warning signals of this, you guys. We saw that there was signs that we could drop to 70K. And when I made that video, I posted the area between 72 and 70K, that major golden pocket, as well as the value area high of this 7-month range of our wave 4 weekly impulse. And I know it sounded like crazy back then, but we were seeing the warning signals flash for us, and we were needing to be more cautious that this range might break down and we might come down to 70K. Now, if we come down to 70K, does that mean the bull market's over? No, it actually doesn't. It would actually be somewhat healthy to see a move down to 70K. The problem is, if we move down to 70K after our 5-wave impulses finish here, is that going to be now a lower high to come in? So let's go ahead and look at this weekly chart here. We can look at our 5-wave impulse, and I've shown you guys this in mini charts. That's not perfect at the bottom there, but here is our 5-wave impulse here, which Elliott impulses are 5-wave impulses. After the 5-wave impulse is completed, you usually see a bigger correction to the downside. And in that bigger correction, usually it's a 3-wave pattern, or it can be like a complex correction, which is a series of multiple 3-wave patterns. But generally, you see a move down. And is our first A wave going to go all the way to 70K? Maybe our B wave is going to come up to 90K to retest those range lows that we've been losing, the value area low of this range since November 11th. And then is our C wave going to come all the way down to take the lows of wave 4? Could we drop to 50K in the next few months? That is the question. And I have to say it's a possibility. Today is February 26th. The month closes in 2 days. And let's go to our monthly chart here. I've been warning about this on the monthly chart as well. We are confirming bear divs on the monthly chart, especially if we close this monthly candle in 2 days as bearish as it looks now. Let me go ahead and hide this now so you guys can get a better look at this. But if we close, and I'm going to get rid of this line now. If we close this bearish candle, this monthly candle, this bearish here, there is a possibility we can at least come down to here. Look at, that's not even that big of a drop. We could see a much deeper correction in this ABC correction, all the way down to maybe the point of control of this range here. And if we do this range of the last bull market here, our point of control is around, what is that? 47, 40, yeah, 48K, 47, 48K. It would also be an SFP of our wave 4 lows here. So it is a possibility that Bitcoin over the next months makes a correction down to 48K, 49K. Major point of control of our last bull market here. And then we might see that ABC correction down to that area. So I just want to warn about this. I know a couple weeks ago when I made that video, 70K sounded crazy. Well, now we're halfway down to 70K, and I know 50K, 49K sounds crazy right now. But we do see monthly bear divs on the chart. Monthly bear divs, higher highs in the price action here and here, lower highs in the momentum waves here. And so if we do see this bear div start to play out, and we have weekly bear div, we have daily bear div, and I also want to remind you guys, let's go to this next chart, not this one here. This guy here. I've been warning you guys about this channel, this weekly time frame cycle channel. So let's go back to the weekly chart here. And a couple days ago in my videos, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I talked about how on that push up to 99K where we rejected before this mega dump, we did, let me zoom in on this so you guys can get a better look. We'll go to the 2-hour chart here. We did come up, actually the daily chart shows it the best. So on our daily time frame, because this is a higher time frame channel, so we need to be looking, it's a weekly time frame channel. We look on the daily time frame to see if we get rejections from the daily. And you can see here when we made that push up from 94K all the way up to 99K up here, we couldn't close our daily candle back above this channel here, this weekly cycle channel. And after we rejected from that, you can see what happened here. So unfortunately, I did talk about this. Actually, if you guys go to my very first video I made on this channel, the thumbnail of that very, very first video is a picture of this weekly cycle channel. So I've been talking about this weekly cycle channel, this exact channel here, for months. And I've been warning for months that we could see a distribution towards the top of this channel and then dump. Because oftentimes when you come to a cycle top like this, you'll start to see a distribution pattern. You know, up here, distribution pattern lasted a few months here, dumped. Here, not so much on the second touch of that, but on the 69K highs. But usually at major cycle lows or cycle highs, you will see a sort of distribution. I'm not saying the entire bull cycle. I'm saying we could see a correction, you know, and look at the midline of that channel, by the way, is around that 48K. It's a little bit lower, 46K, but if it takes some time, it'll be around like 47 or so, 47, 48. So are we about to see a bigger dump? We've been watching this channel. We've been talking about the bearish signals that we're seeing on high time frames that we cannot ignore. And in a video that I'm going to either post today, later today, or tomorrow, it's going to be a very special video looking at this structure here, looking to see if this is a valid distribution that is happening here and if we are about to dump. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be an interesting video. I'm going to really go in depth on Wyckoff distribution. We're going to see if it maps out here correctly, and it'll give us a little bit of a hint of what's playing out here. But we have seen this, this channel. I've been talking for months. You can go back to the very few videos in my channel. When we came up here and we were first hitting 100K and we started breaking it, and I said, okay, guys, it's possible that we could form a few months of a chop around the top of this channel, like a distribution, and then start to dump back to 70K. And so far, unfortunately, because I'm a spot holder too, I don't want to see this, but unfortunately, it looks like it might be starting to play out this way. This candle, look at this weekly candle. That's a very bearish weekly candle, and it looks like a break of our range structure. Now, we still do have 4 days left until our weekly close, and we could see a candle like this where today it looks really red and really bearish, but by the end of the week, it could look like a wick like this, and we could be back in this range. So really, by the end of the week, we need to really get back above, I would say 91K, the lows, 89K. Let's actually zoom in on that daily chart again, and let's analyze this range here. You can see this range here, and really our lows of the range. Let's go ahead, and these lows here were pretty important. This was our flash crash lows. We came down, we grabbed the liquidity of these lows here, made a new all-time high, came down, and so pretty much this little area in here between like this first wick here, this all here, about 90,800 is the level that we're going to want to get back above by the end of the week, or we might see continuation to the downside. And also in the next 4 days, if we do see us even hold the support that we're at now, that anchored VWAP from the 59K lows, and we come up here over the next 4 days and reject, that could give us a signal that, hey, this thing's going lower. This thing is going to come to 76K or maybe even 70K. So we need to be aware of this, because this does look like it could be a possible distribution range up here. And if it is, I mean, like, look at our market cipher B here. Money flow has been coming out this entire time. I've been talking about this in video after video. Our money flow now to the downside, red to the downside pretty aggressively. We've also invalidated our bull divs. You can see we were starting to make some bull divs between this low here and this low here last week. Remember when we hit our low last week on last Tuesday, and we were starting to make some bull divs here. Lower lows on the price action here, higher lows on the momentum indicator. Now that bull div did bring us up to 99K, but once again, where did we reject from? Our golden pocket. And if you guys have been following my videos the past few weeks, I've been talking about how in this entire push down, all we've been doing is rejecting from golden pockets. You know, after we had that flash crash dump here, where did we reject? We flash crash dumped on a Sunday, at least for my in the United States, it was a Sunday afternoon, and that was this huge crash here. Let me go ahead and drop this down a bit. This huge crash here, now what, 24 days ago or so, and then where did we come to? We came to our golden pocket, and we rejected from the golden pocket. Now Bybit did not hit the golden pocket, but Coinbase did, and we rejected from our golden pocket. Actually, that's not the right pull. This is the right pull. From our all-time high down here, and you can see we did hit the golden pocket perfectly. Now, there was a weekly there as well. This is Binance. Binance did not hit it, but Coinbase did. Let's go to the Coinbase chart here. So Coinbase did hit that. Let me go ahead and hide a couple of these. And also, you can see it was also our anchored VWAP from the all-time high. But if we go on to Coinbase and we do the all-time high down to those flash crash lows, where did we reject from? Golden pocket. Also was an anchored VWAP. We had a naked weekly point of control there, and we had a fresh weekly level there. Since then, we've kind of been correcting slowly here. And then this push up that we saw last week, right before the Bybit hack, was really our last. Where do we hit on this one? Let's do it from now the new high up here at 103K. Down to these lows. Where did we reject from? Let me get that right. Here. Where did we reject from? Once again, the golden pocket. So golden pocket rejection, and we just keep making lower lows after rejecting from golden pockets here. So we are in a bearish trend, and we are finding weakness at every golden pocket, rejections. And now last Friday, after the dump, I was talking about this as being a possible ABC correction to the downside, with our dump on Friday being our A wave, our range over the weekend being our B wave, and coming down to the 1-to-1 or 1.236 being our C wave. But yesterday, we had invalidated that by even breaking down past the 1.618. So yesterday in the video, I said, guys, this does start to look like a 5-wave impulse down now. And that's why yesterday I said, I think we're going to make another low. We might see a small bounce from here, but I do think we're going to come down and make another low to finish that 5-wave impulse. Well, now look at, we've clearly had 5 waves of an impulse to the downside. Wave 1 being the Bybit hack, wave 2 over the weekend, wave 3 all the way down to 85K, but we front ran once again when we came down here to 85.8. We front ran that 85K range low. We came up here overnight. And then 5 today. Is the 5 done with? Now, there's a couple ways to measure the 5 wave. If we go zoom in on the hourly chart here, let me get rid of this for a second. We can look at our wave 4, our potential wave 4 here, and you can do a Fibonacci pull from the low to the highs of that area, and you turn on your expansion, so 5th wave targets. So your target for the 5th wave is between the 1.236 and the 1.618. Well, look at where we kind of bottomed today. We did see a wick past it to hit our bigger golden pocket, but our 1.618 is even on the hourly chart. We just saw a wick past the 1.618. So we have hit the technical target of our correction, but the wave 5 doesn't have to end at the one. These are the most common targets. It can expand farther than that. And we're just not seeing any strength right now. You can see if we zoom in here onto like the 15-minute chart, we couldn't even get back above 85K really. We wicked a little bit past it, but if I go ahead, let me zoom out again. Let me go to these range lows that we saw at 85K. We'll turn these range lows on again, and then let's go. Now at Bitcoin, they're at, on Coinbase, they're at pretty much right at 85K. On Bybit, it's 85,200, closer to 85,200. But if we go back to our 15-minute chart, you can see that we fell through that area. We did not see the swing failure pattern of that low. We did hit into our anchored VWAP, but we cannot reclaim this at the moment. And unfortunately, once again, this push up is looking kind of weak here. Like if we go in here and we turn on our volume, you can see this entire push up so far, volume is decreasing on the push up. Unfortunately, just like yesterday, we were seeing a push up with decreased volume. We're pushing up here. Volume is decreasing. It's a weak push up, and this might just roll over again and continue down. Now, I do want to say the possibility of the fifth wave being done, the impulse being done is bigger. So we might, instead of rolling down again, what we could start to do is just start to form a range in here for a couple days and really start to try to gain support here between our lows here and this high here, 85K. Excuse me. Let's look at our prior lows here. So these prior lows here, and then we could also look at this low that we made today. So what we can be looking at now, let me get rid of this 85K. We can be looking at a potential range from this low here, and we'll just put on a parallel channel to down to this low and look at where our midline is being respected on this range already. So if this prior low is going to act as a resistance for us now, which you can see we pretty much came up to our prior low up here. This is a possibility of this horizontal range starting to form over the next day or two until we can either gain some strength and support here and then make a move to the upside, or find weakness in this range and continue to break down to 75K or even lower. So that's kind of what we're watching right now on Bitcoin to see, is it going to be able to kind of start to range here at least, or even more bullish would be to break the range and continue higher. But right now it's not looking good for Bitcoin. It's just not looking good. Once again, we're closing the daily candle. We just closed the daily candle, and we closed it, right here at below 84K, 84.5K or so. So it's really not looking good for Bitcoin right now that we couldn't reclaim 85K by the end of the day after losing that. Now let's go ahead and zoom out on the Coinbase chart, because you guys know that I'm a sucker for the Coinbase chart. I think the Coinbase chart gives you the best levels. It's the biggest exchange where the big boys play on. All the ETFs are custodians with Coinbase. And Coinbase is also in the US market, which is the largest trading market in the world. So if we look at our anchored VWAP, it is still holding. We are still above that anchored VWAP there. And this was a level that we were looking for the bounce from yesterday, as well as the golden pocket. And the golden pocket is just from this low to our all-time high here. And we're going to turn on our golden pocket. So we are at a kind of major last effort, last ditch support level. If this doesn't hold, we probably are coming down lower. We are going to come down lower if it doesn't hold. Obviously, we're going to come down lower if it doesn't hold. But money flow here still looks bad. We've invalidated our possibility of bull divs here. And on the weekly time frame, this thing could play out a lot more. Money flow could also get a lot deeper to the downside. We just have to see. We want to start developing a range here. And kind of like in this area where we were starting to bottom, we had that big flash crash bottom, and then we started to build a range here before an impulse. So we want to start to see a range building, and we want to really try to reclaim this. Now let's go ahead and go on to let's see, which one was it here? Yes. Okay. So this is my thumbnail today in the video. I've been talking also about this pitchfork midline here. Let me get rid of this stuff now. This pitchfork midline for weeks, I've been talking about we could dump to 85K to this pitchfork midline. You can see how well this pitchfork has been respected here of this wave 4. It's really the wave 3 pitchfork and wave 4 correction. So you pull it from the wave 3 lows to the wave 3 highs to the wave 4 lows. And since we've created this pitchfork, you can see how just well it's been respected. Band held, bounced from the band here, lost it, but reclaimed it, bounced here, back tested support, rejected from the midline, saw a small push down, came up to the top of the band, came up to the highs of the pitchfork, all-time high, rejected from the high of the pitchfork. We were trading around in this band here, in this November 11th range. I've been talking about this on almost all my videos. I probably sound like a broken record, but it was this part of the band was holding. And in these last few days, when we were kind of going sideways underneath the band, I was giving warning signals. I was really warning you guys that this thing might dump to 85K. We saw the signs ahead of time that this thing could dump. And we were starting to lose this band, which is held so strong, at least on the daily level. You see wicks past it, wicks past it, wicks past it, wicks past it, wicks past it here. But it wasn't really closing daily candles below until we started the last week before this dump here. And then what we saw on the day when we came up here and rejected on the bearish back test of that channel, guess what? We finally dumped to now. And the scary thing is we could even be losing the midline. If we lose the midline, where's our next level of support coming in? Depends on how aggressive this dumps here. But look at this, is coming in around 74K. And the bottom of it is around 72K, 71, 72K, where our more macro golden pocket is. And the golden pocket that I'm talking about, if we do our golden pocket pull from those 49K lows to our new all-time high, you can see that golden pocket between 72K and 70.3 coming in right around the pitchfork band. So there is a possibility we could drop here. Also, if we take our volume profile and we measure this range here that we saw, you can see, let me actually pull it to about right here. You can see our value area high on this range is about where our golden pocket is. Let me get this right. And so is this area going to be our big support area where we're going to be looking for a dump to? On Coinbase, the value area high is a little bit better. Let's do this. There we go. Yeah, so Coinbase value area high is pretty much right at 70K. And if we take that more macro golden pocket pull from our 49K lows to our all-time high, you can see golden pocket, the 0.65 specifically. That's why I keep saying 70K, not 72K, because our value area high of this range is aligning with this golden pocket. And if we put on that pitchfork, let me zoom out real quick here. Let's get onto the 3-day chart. And let's do that pitchfork pull. Where's that? Here. Let me change that to the modified. Nope. Skip one. All right. Now let's pull this golden pocket over so you can see better. You can see that golden pocket. And let me get rid of this one so you can have some clarity here. That golden pocket is coming in right around that pitchfork band here. Let's go on the daily. Right around the bottom of the pitchfork band here is our golden pocket. It's also our value area high. So there is a possibility we could dump to 70K. When everyone thinks it's not possible, that's when things like this happen. And we saw the warning signals. We were talking about it for weeks on the channel here, trying to let people be aware. And now we are finally seeing that waterfall to the downside here. It could stall out where we're at now. Where we are at now is a important support level. This anchored VWAP is the volume weighted average price. So it's the average price from the 49K lows, but it's weighted on volume. So it's a little bit different than a regular VWAP from a regular VWAP. If like we took a regular VWAP from this area, but this, because it's based more off of the volume in each candle rather than the price alone, it is a little bit more important, because what runs these markets? Volume and liquidity. They're the two most important things in these markets. So anchored VWAPs from lows or highs are very, very important tools to use to find support and resistance levels. So I do think that this could, if it doesn't hold us, let's just say that if it doesn't hold us, we'll see a waterfall. But I mean, we do have some support here, and it would be nice to start to form a range down here. What we can look for too in that range is the low to be taken one last time to liquidity grab that low, and then see a push up. So that's kind of what I'm watching for on Bitcoin. We'll go into the distribution later on in another video, but this might be a distribution pattern. And if it is, we can look for more dumpage to the downside here. It's starting to look like it. Instead of reaccumulation, it's starting to look like distribution here. And unfortunately, we don't want to see that, but we have to pay attention to what the charts are telling us. Now, let's go back to this chart. I believe it was this chart. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to talk about this new pitchfork that I pulled here. So let's go on to the 4-hour chart. And you can see this pitchfork. What I did here, and let me get this right on. I hate how TradingView does this. Here, and let's pull that right up to that high. And look at this pitchfork. So we pulled it from the last 108K high. Let's make sure we're on there. You got to get this real precise. All right. From the 108K high here. And look at this, we were chopping around the band for a bit, came up to the top of the bearish pitchfork, rejected, came up to the top of it again, rejected, like to the dollar too. Chopping around right underneath this band. We were really trying to get above it, but you can see rejection from the top, rejection from the top, rejection from the top, rejection from the top of the band. Finally flipped the band here, came back to back tested his support. Yes, we did see that kind of big wick that back down, but once again came up to the top of the pitchfork, rejected, bounced on our, this was the day of the Bybit hack. So rejected from near the top of the pitchfork, came down and held the band as support here, saw that move up over the weekend, this kind of sideways range, and then we just lost it. Oop. We lost it. We're losing our midline here now too. And where have we come to? Let me get rid of this golden pocket so you can see more clearly. We've come down to the lower band of support. And that's where we ended, on this lower band of support here. So if we can't, what we can expect now, this midline is going to become resistance. And if we do come up here, which is around 87K, our prior range low area, if we reject there, coming down here to 76K, 77K. Now, the unfortunate thing about this is there's not much else at 77K. I know we do have a CME gap down there, but that's about it. One thing that I do want to say that's looking a little bit bullish here. Remember, a couple days ago, I was saying there was no, you would expect for there to be 4-hour bull divs on a major low. And the reason why, when Jason was looking at 93K and a couple, when everyone was looking at 93K, or even that dump yesterday down to 90K, 91K, we were saying, okay, this might not be the low because we're not seeing bull divs. If it's a major low, you would expect to see some higher time frame divs, specifically 4-hour bull divs. Well, now look at what we're seeing. Lower lows in the price action here, higher lows on the momentum waves. We are seeing 4-hour bull divs at our major anchored VWAP support and our pitchfork band of support. So I do think that this could give us a push up. The only thing we need to watch for is first a rejection from 87K, 87,500-ish really. Let's see, yeah, 87,200, 87. And if we break that to the upside, then really that 91K, 93 is going to be the big one though. And that's at the top of the band up here, 93K. That is also our range value area low. If we zoom back out on the daily chart, And let me go ahead and get rid of this so you can see better. We're going to pull that range. Now, I'm not going to include this dump out of it because this is part of the impulse down, but we'll go from that last high that we made at 99K over to our 85K area. And you can see this value area low, how well this value area low was respected. Anytime we came down to it, we'd see a bounce. Now we're losing it with volume to the downside. So now this area here at like 92,950 to 93K is going to become a resistance. We can mark this out here. We'll put value area low. And then now let's go ahead and zoom in onto like the 4-hour chart. I will now get rid of that range. And you can see where's that value area low coming in at the top of the band here. So of course it would take us some time, maybe chop around here for a bit, hit here, either reclaim this here, come up here. If we bearishly backtest and reject that, it's going to be bad news for Bitcoin. But I do like the fact now we are at a major support level. You can see we just, even on the 4 hours, we just had the wick down to the pitchfork band. But even on the 4 hour, the anchored VWAP held here. And we are seeing bull divs here. So it is looking at least a little bit good here for a small push up, even if it's just to 87K. I think we can at least get up to 87K. If we can't, if we start to range here between 85K and the lows, that's actually going to be bad because what's going to happen is our divs are going to start to kind of flatten out, and then we could see what Jason calls the butt cheek blowout, where this rolls over, keeps coming down, and this, you know, invalidates, and we don't have bull divs anymore. So we're going to have to be aware of all of this. We're just going to monitor it day to day to see how what happens with all this. But yeah, this is kind of what I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now. Now, if we go to our liquidation heat map here on CoinGlass, and we look here at our Model 3, you can see where's our liquidity. I mean, we've taken almost all the liquidity below us, except for that 70K liquidity. Remember when we zoomed out on this on the monthly, the 70K liquidity, I'll show you guys that in the next video. 70K has a major, major liquidity down there. But if we look now just of the liquidity around us now, you can see right around 90K and then also 93K. So those are our two important levels. 90K is kind of the back test of the lows of the range. 89, 90K was like the lows of the range here in this area. And then 93K, of course, is the back test of our value area low of our big daily range that we just lost. Those are both going to be very, very, very important levels for us to look for. If we bounce up there, it could give us a rejection. We could take the liquidity and drop right back down. Take the liquidity, drop right back down. So we're going to be aware of that, of where the liquidity is resting in the market, because we are seeing some bull divs. So this bull divs might give us a push up to these areas. But if we do get a rejection from these areas, it might not be the best news for Bitcoin. And then 70K might be coming. All right, that's about it for Bitcoin, guys. I mean, there's not too much else to cover. Let's see here. Yeah, so we just keep an eye out for that. I mean, yeah. All right, now total market cap here. Total market cap, we are breaking into that golden pocket, and we finally actually hit the golden pocket. But this pitchfork, let me zoom out onto the daily chart. And you guys go back to my second video that I made ever on the channel. We were hitting up here, and I was telling people to take profits on altcoins. And some of the guys were laughing and saying, there's no way we're about to see the biggest alt season ever. Well, we were confirming these weekly and daily bear divs here, triple, quadruple drive here of bear divs here. And we were hitting into a major resistance of a highly respected pitchfork here. And I was just saying, you know what? I'm going to take some out here. Got to take some out here, because also our total 3 chart was at the top of the pitchfork. And since then, some alts are down more than 50, 60% from those highs. This in here in December, if you go look at some of the alts in December, like let's look at Solana in December here. Let's see, December, you know, we were up here around 260 in this area, you know, above 250. So, and then, like Ethereum, if we go look at Ethereum here, Ethereum in December was at its highs, 4K highs. See, December up here. And why did I say to take profits there? Because not only were alts pumping like crazy, but we were at a resistance on the total chart and the total 3 chart. And this is how you can use these total charts and market cycles to find when to take profit on alts and on Bitcoin. And so I talked about this in my first couple videos. If you guys want to go back and look at those videos, I was saying, look, we use the total charts to know when to take profits during a bull cycle. And we were getting kind of towards the end of the bull cycle, or like starting to see signs of slowing down. Let's say that. And so it's coming up to major resistance. Okay, take profits. Here we go. Take profits. Plan to buy back down at the midline or even lower. I've been waiting for these golden pockets to be hit forever. And you can actually go back in November and look at those videos that I was making in November talking about these golden pockets to finally be hit. Now, the total 3 chart hit the golden pocket on that flash crash we saw 24 days ago. But on the total chart, we finally are coming into that. And it also happens to be around the bottom of our pitchfork. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, hopefully this holds, because if this doesn't hold, we could see a bigger dump in market cap. And if that doesn't hold, we can do our more macro golden pocket pull from the lows to our highs up here. And it's going to be, 2.47 trillion to 2.4 trillion, which if we do our volume profile pull of this range, it's around the value area high. Value area high is a little bit higher. Let me see if we just do like this part. Actually, if this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, we would have to pull it down to this one. Yeah, because the point of control is there. So that makes sense. And so, yeah, we could drop more, guys. All that to say we could drop more. All right, now let's go into Ethereum real quick here. Ethereum is dropping. Let's zoom in on this 1 hour chart. Yesterday in the video, I talked about Ethereum was trading in this ascending channel with low volume to the upside, and that the highest probabilities that we would break down from this channel. And I showed that with local support, where our local support was in this box, we did see a reaction from there. But when we reacted from this box, we just came up to our VWAP and to the top of our band and couldn't reclaim it, so we dumped lower. So I did warn that we were coming up in a rising channel with decreasing volume. Anytime you see a low volume, like, your volume keeps decreasing on a rising channel after a huge dump, it's corrective type price action. And the probabilities that you're going to keep dumping to the downside. So now we see that. Let's go ahead and turn that off for a second. Let's delete this channel now. We've broken out of it. And I left this box on the chart because I did want to show you, we did get a small reaction from it. But unfortunately, this would have been a TP1 win, though, because you could have longed in this box, and then your TP would have been the VWAP. We did make it up to the VWAP. It was also the top of our pitchfork band. You can see up here, rejected from the pitchfork band, came up to the VWAP, rejected that, and then you would have got stopped out on the rest. So maybe a small win, maybe a break-even trade there. I wasn't even looking at Ethereum today much at all, except for when a couple people asked me about it in the Discord. But yeah, so that didn't play out. But then we did come down to our bigger support level, where I talked about I do want to see Ethereum come down to this level. Because remember, on this low here, we front ran the 786 just barely, and we front ran the bottom of the pitchfork just barely. So yeah, in yesterday's video, if you go back and listen to that, I said I think I would prefer to come down to this area here. This is definitely our bigger and more healthy support area. And that's kind of where we're coming down to now, and we're trying to hold the bottom of the pitchfork. You can see this blue line in here is the bottom of the pitchfork. So I'm going to delete this box now, but you can see the bottom of the pitchfork here is trying to hold us. Now, once again, came up to the VWAP, rejected from the VWAP again, rejected from the VWAP. So VWAP is just pushing us down, and things are not looking the hottest right now for crypto. It looks like we might keep dumping still, unfortunately. We are at major supports on many coins, though. Many different coins. I mean, Ethereum, if we lose this pitchfork, we're probably going to come down to take these two SFPs. So we have this SFP here, this SFP here. And let me go ahead and zoom out so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Let's go to the 6-hour chart. We had our flash crash lows that came down. They front run the real SFP of these bottom range lows. Let's go on the daily so you can see it better. So you can see this whole push up from 2K to 4K. The big lows of this impulse down are here. And when we saw that flash crash happen 24 days ago, we didn't take the liquidity here. And usually when you get that low to liquidity without taking it, sometimes you'll come back down to actually take it. So I do not see the market makers leaving these two liquidities here. I just don't see it. I think Ethereum might come down to 2K to take this liquidity. Now, if it does and sees a recovery, that would be a really spectacular thing, because that means all the longs in this entire area would be stopped out, and we could kind of reset the market and then continue up. I'll be looking for swing longs in this area. Let's just say that. So that's kind of what we're looking at on Ethereum now. Let's zoom in onto the 2-hour chart. To the upside, we still have that liquidity grab of our smaller range, 15-minute chart. This little range highs, we were kind of ranging sideways here, and we're starting to break that range down. But if you look at the 15-minute chart, this is starting to look like a range here. So we can do a volume profile pull of either to here, or I like pulling it all the way to like this area here. And you can see the value area high of this range is at the top of the pitchfork band. So at 24.45 is now going to be a resistance for us. You can see we are bouncing from the value area low of that range, but also our point of control is around the lower part of the pitchfork band. And then if we do a golden pocket pull from yesterday's high to today's low, you can see that our golden pocket is right around that. I would actually be looking, point of control, golden pocket, and then the 786 is probably going to be a bit higher than our, so I would say what I would be looking at as our local resistance to the upside would be a box like from the value area high in the top of the pitchfork band down to the point of control. This area here from 24.20 to 24.47, or really 24.48. If we come up there and reject that, then we're probably coming down here. And then of course we have our midline up here. The midline is still going to be acting as a resistance. That midline is going to be around 2600, 2608. All right, let's go into Solana here. Now, Solana, you guys, yesterday I talked about on Solana how I am looking to swing long around this pitchfork midline here. And we hit into the pitchfork midline yesterday. We were seeing a push up, and you see that we rejected from our large range point of control. Now, I didn't show you guys this point of control or this volume profile in yesterday's video, but this is a pretty important volume profile. You can see it's kind of our upper price action after this last impulse up. We've kind of been going sideways here. And so this volume profile, this range here on the daily is pretty important. That's also from our March highs. A lot of altcoins made key highs in March of 2024 and kind of were going sideways ever since. Now Solana did have a couple boosts, like this was the Trump launch coin, there. But you could see this pitchfork is being respected. We actually broke it to the upside. We were trading inside of it really nicely here. Broke it to the upside, back tested it here, kind of tried to hold above it, couldn't, chopping around right at the top of it for a bit, saw a bounce from the top of it. Here, saw a bounce from the top of it, tried to bounce from the top of it again, couldn't, and then when we re-entered, you can see what happened here. Re-entered, dropped to the pitchfork band of support, saw a decent bounce. Then when we finally lost it, back tested his resistance and dropped. And remember, I was looking for this bearish back test of this pitchfork band to short, and I did do that. So at 176, I think that was last week. A lot of you guys remember me talking about 176, the bearish back test of the pitchfork band to look for a short. Now we are at our midline. And you can also see, where did we bounce today? From the 0.886, 0.886. So this kind of has to hold, or we do have one level before the $100. Yesterday in the video, I said if we lose this, we're probably coming down to $106 to $100. We actually do have one level before that I'm interested in, and that I will look for a long from. It is going to be, if we take this range here, this sideways range, since the March highs, you can see our value area low hasn't been quite touched yet. And that's around 127, 127.7, 127.8. So I do think that's our last kind of defense before we come down to $100 area, 106 to 100. But you can see also, if I zoom in here on, let's go ahead and zoom in onto like the hourly chart. You can kind of see now this, not the hourly, 2 hourly chart. For some reason, when you go onto the hourly, it changes that midline. But you can see now that we are back testing after losing this pitchfork band, bouncing from the 0.886. We're back testing it and rejecting. And that's not a good sign for Solana. Actually, I have to make sure my stop loss is in place. I longed 133 on this earlier today. So I have to make sure my stop is at break even. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at on Solana here. If we do reject from here, I would look at this 127.8 area, 127.7 to look for possible support. But if we lose that, we're probably coming down to like 106 to $100, 105.8, 100 to 100. So now this point of control is going to be acting as a resistance like it is now. We are starting to form a range here on Solana that is looking pretty nice. It's this range after that last big impulse down. We've kind of been, now it's kind of dropping a little bit, but you can see we're also at the value area low of that range, of the smaller range, intraday range, or couple day range, I'd say. And you can also see we did reject from the point of control of that range earlier today. And that point of control was the same earlier today before the dump as well. So if I go like this and we pull it from like here, you can see it was the same. And that's where we rejected earlier today on that small push up this morning. Yeah, so unfortunately, everything's looking bearish. Look at, we're dumping, we're rejecting the bearish backtest of the pitchfork midline. Maybe we're coming down to 127.7. And now that we've hit the 886, by the way, we do have a higher probability to come take the lows. The 886 pull, let me get rid of this range for a second now. Let me get rid of this smaller range. This 886 was hit, and the 886, unfortunately, it was the 886 from these $100 lows all the way up to our new all-time high. That was our 886 pull, and we've hit the 886. So even if we see a bounce from here, we might come down and take this $100 low. Yeah, $110 low into our pitchfork midline. No, pitchfork lower band, excuse me. I still have hope that this midline can hold. We need to start to form a range around here for maybe a day or two and then try to work our way up. But Solana looks kind of bearish right now. Everything looks kind of bearish now. Look at, by the way, BNB is holding up so much better than everything else. BNB and XRP are holding up so well. You know, BNB is only down from its all-time highs by, what is that, like 23%? I guess that's what Bitcoin's down, 23%. So, but BNB is holding up in its upper range here pretty good. Yeah, so, all right, XRP is still trading in this bigger daily range. Let me clean some of this up here. I'm going to hide some of this stuff. Bear with me here. going to keep that weekly on because that's where our point of control is. All right. Why did I delete that? I should have just hit that. So you can see we do have a fresh weekly level at 230. It's not fresh anymore, actually. That's been hit. That's been busted through. So actually, I'm just going to delete that. But we are at the value area low of this range. And yesterday in the video, I said it would be nice to come down to this value area low. We are at the value area low. And this is a big daily range here. You can see that we're trading in this bigger descending channel here. So if we lose the value area low where we're at now, I mean, we might come all the way down to the bottom of the channel at like depending on how quick we get there, 165 to like 162, 163. But it is still trading in this range. We're at the value area low of the range, and this value area low that we're at now really does need to hold. Let's go on to the 15-minute chart here. You can see that's where we had our box at. Box of support. So we're still trading within that box of support there. If this can hold, we might be able to make a move up to the point of control up here. Yeah, and that point of control, I mean, there's a weekly up there at 239, but that weekly has been tapped, but it hasn't been back tested since we lost it. So now that we lost that weekly, it might act as a resistance for us to drop. You know what I haven't checked at all is daily naked point of controls. So I should probably be looking at some of our daily naked point of controls here. Yeah, we've got some above us. I'm going to check Bitcoin real quick. I'm sure there's going to be a couple. Oof. Okay, we do have one below us. 79K, almost 80K. And then the next one's at 76K, where we have our pitchfork band. But to the upside, the only one to the upside is up here at that 93K area. 94, 95, or 94.2. All right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and turn that off. XRP. All right. Yeah, XRP, we've got to hold where we're at now. If we can hold it, we can do a Fibonacci pull from these last highs here down to the lows. And you can see that our golden pocket is coming in around that anchored VWAP. That anchored VWAP is an important level. But I do like the 786 a little bit better near the value area high. And that's also where our anchored VWAP from the all-time high is. So 267 to like 275. First, we have to get back above this point of control. Let's look at our 382. Okay, 382. I want to check something here because it looks like we rejected from the 382. Yeah, unfortunately, because see, we made this low before and we came up and rejected from our 302 and came down. So anytime you reject from a 302, a 382, excuse me, 382, you're showing that the trend to the downside still has strength. So this value area low might not hold. And how do we know we rejected afterwards? Well, we can show you. So let me go on the 2-hour chart. And we can do that Fibonacci pull from these highs to these lows. Came up to the 382, rejected the 382. So it's telling us that we still have a strong trend to the downside. Now, we could look at this as a 5-wave impulse to the downside too. Wave 1 here, wave 2 here. This could be our wave 3 here. Wave 4, just like Bitcoin rejected from the 382. That was my thumbnail three days ago or 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. Rejected from the 382, and we made new lows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we going to go 5 down? Maybe. We haven't looked at, what we haven't looked at is our golden pocket pull from these range lows to these highs up here. Now that was a horrible golden pocket pull. Okay, golden pocket's been hit. 786 would be our only hope, really, to not come down to the bottom of the descending channel at 198.77. And actually, that would be a nice spot to end the wave 5. We can actually look at if there's confluence there. So what can we do to try to find our wave 5 target? We can do a Fibonacci pull from the lows of 4 to the highs of 4. We turn on our wave 5 targets. Yeah, 1.236 is right on top of that. The most common targets for a wave 5 are between the 1.236 and 1.618. So this 198.77 might hold us if we break the value area low. So far, we're still holding the value area low. But if this is the 5-wave impulse, then that area there is it. 198. Really, 199. All right, that's it. Guys, I got to get going. I will make another video today covering that Wyckoff pattern, and then I'll go over some of the altcoins that I didn't get to today in this video. So have a good one, and I'll see you in a bit.